Imagine waking up one morning, only to discover that a secret your government denied for decades was actually true. Not a rumor, not a Hollywood movie, but a real document, stamped top secret. 4 generations. Millions of pages of classified files have remained locked away from the public. Some were hidden for 20 years. Some for 50. And some are still sealed today. The question is, what was so dangerous that ordinary people weren't allowed to know? Throughout American history, there have been moments when the truth didn't disappear. It was simply locked inside a government vault. From secret CIA experiments, to hidden war reports, to assassination files that continue to be released even today, history is filled with stories that remained buried until someone opened the file. But here's the most unsettling part. If these secrets stayed hidden for decades, how many are still waiting to be uncovered? Tonight, we're opening the files and exploring the stories the public wasn't meant to see until history finally caught up. Before we open the first classified file, we need to answer one simple question. Why does any government keep secrets in the first place? The truth is, every nation on Earth has information the public isn't allowed to see immediately. Military plans, intelligence operations, diplomatic negotiations, the identities of undercover agents. In many cases, secrecy isn't designed to deceive citizens, it's meant to protect lives and national security. That's why governments classify certain documents as confidential, secret, or top secret. Some files stay hidden for only a few years. Others remain locked away for decades. And only after officials determine they no longer pose a security risk are they reviewed for public release. But here's where history becomes far more complicated. Sometimes, the documents that finally emerge don't just reveal military strategies. They reveal mistakes, misjudgments, failed operations, or decisions that governments never expected the public to examine. That's when secrecy stops being just about protection and starts raising difficult questions about accountability. Over the years, researchers, journalists, and historians have spent countless hours requesting access to old government records through declassification programs and public records laws. Many expected to find routine paperwork. Instead, some uncovered stories that changed the way Americans understood their own history. Stories that had been dismissed as rumors. Stories officials rarely discussed. Stories hidden behind blacked-out pages, missing names, and thousands of redacted lines. Each newly released document reminded the world of one important fact. History is never completely frozen. As more files are declassified, our understanding of the past continues to evolve. And the deeper investigators looked, the more they realized that some of America's most fascinating chapters had been sitting quietly inside locked filing cabinets all along. The first of those chapters would reveal an experiment so controversial that even many government officials later admitted it should never have happened. The first chapter begins inside the Cold War, a time when fear shaped nearly every decision made by world leaders. The United States wasn't just competing with military power. It was competing with ideas, intelligence, and influence. Government officials worried that rival nations might discover ways to manipulate the human mind. If that happened, could an enemy force someone to reveal classified information? Could a prisoner be controlled without force? Those questions led the CIA to launch one of its most controversial research programs, MKUltra. For years, the project remained hidden from the public. According to declassified government records, researchers conducted experiments involving drugs, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and other psychological techniques to study human behavior. Many details were unknown outside a small circle of officials. The public had no idea the program even existed. Then, years later, pieces of the truth began to surface. Congressional investigations and declassified documents revealed that the program had operated for years under strict secrecy. The revelations shocked the nation. People weren't just surprised that the experiments had happened. They were stunned that such a large program had remained hidden for so long. But the mystery didn't end there. Investigators later discovered that many MKUltra records had been destroyed before the program became public. Thousands of pages were gone forever. That meant historians could reconstruct only part of the story. Even today, researchers continue studying the surviving documents to understand exactly what happened and what lessons should be learned. MKUltra became a powerful reminder that government secrecy can sometimes conceal actions that later generations question. And if one secret program could stay hidden for years, what else might still be waiting inside classified archives? The next discovery would reveal that the battlefield itself wasn't the only place where the truth had been kept from the American people. By the late 1960s, America was deeply involved in the Vietnam War. Every day, government officials assured the public that progress was being made. Press conferences painted an optimistic picture. Success, they said, was only a matter of time. But behind closed doors, a very different story was taking shape. Inside government offices, thousands of pages of internal reports documented concerns, strategic failures, and private assessments that often conflicted with what the public had been told. Those documents would later become known as the Pentagon Papers. 4 years. They remained classified. Only a small number of officials had access to them. Then, in 1971, a former military analyst named Daniel Ellsberg made a decision that would change American history. He leaked the documents to major newspapers. As journalists began publishing their contents, Americans discovered that many internal government evaluations of the war were far more pessimistic than the public narrative had suggested. The revelations sparked a nationwide debate. Some believed the leak was essential for government accountability. Others argued that releasing classified information could damage national security. The controversy quickly reached the highest levels of the legal system. In a landmark decision, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the newspapers could continue publishing the documents, reinforcing the importance of a free press while leaving broader questions about secrecy and national security open for debate. The Pentagon Papers didn't end the arguments. They intensified them. They showed that history isn't always shaped only by what governments choose to reveal. Sometimes it's also shaped by what eventually comes to light. And if one collection of documents could transform public understanding of an entire war, what about the files surrounding one of the most shocking events in American history? Because the next case still leaves millions of people asking questions more than 60 years later. On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. Within hours, the world demanded answers. An official investigation later concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. For many Americans, that should have closed the case. But it didn't. Over the decades, millions of pages related to the assassination were reviewed, classified, and gradually released. Each new release answered some questions, yet inspired countless new ones. Researchers searched every page for overlooked details. Historians compared witness statements. Journalists examined timelines. And every new document reminded the public just how difficult it can be to reconstruct history with complete certainty. The story of the JFK files became larger than a single investigation. It became a symbol of the tension between government secrecy and the public's desire for transparency. At the same time, other once secret records, from intelligence programs to surveillance activities and military operations, continued to emerge through declassification. Each release added another piece to America's historical puzzle. Some confirmed long-held suspicions. Others corrected popular myths. Many simply showed that history is often far more complicated than the headlines of the day. Perhaps that's the real lesson hidden inside these files. Government secrecy is neither automatically proof of a conspiracy nor a guarantee that everything remained justified. Sometimes secrets protect lives. Sometimes they protect sensitive operations. And sometimes, they delay difficult conversations that future generations are forced to confront. The past is never truly finished. Every year, more records are reviewed. More files are opened. And more forgotten chapters become part of the historical record. So the next time you hear someone say, "Everything has already been revealed," remember this. History is still being written. One declassified document at a time. If you enjoyed uncovering these forgotten chapters of American history, subscribe for the next episode, where we'll explore another mystery that continued to shape the United States long after the headlines faded.